Coming up now in your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown, CM Punk's lawyer seems to imply that AEW did not have a right to air the backstage footage from All In. We've also got news on how that segment did in the television ratings, as well as how WWE Raw did in the television ratings this week. All that and more coming up now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So AEW released the backstage security footage of the altercation between CM Punk and Jack Perry from All In Wembley Stadium last summer. Now, while I could give my subjective take on what I saw, what really matters is what the wrestling audience as a whole thinks. And in that regard, absolutely nothing has changed whatsoever. The CM Punk fans are still the CM Punk fans. The CM Punk haters are still the CM Punk haters. The AEW haters are still the AEW haters. But one thing that I think everybody can agree on, one thing that the Punk haters, the Punk fans, the AEW haters, the AEW fans, one thing that I think they can all agree on is that it's time to move past this issue. Let's let it be a dead issue. We don't need to focus on this anymore. And that actually was the theme of the promo by FTR that they delivered right after the Young Bucks showed the video. Unfortunately for this really to be a dead issue, though, CM Punk and his camp are going to have to choose not to respond, not to continue the cycle of people responding to each other publicly. Now, people will definitely argue that Punk shouldn't have spoken about this on the Ariel Helwani show, and that AEW was just responding to him by releasing this footage, although they'll claim that they were going to release it around this time, regardless of CM Punk being on the MMA Hour. But Punk's camp will have to choose not to respond, or at least not to respond publicly, because I do believe there are some hints out there that there has been already a response from CM Punk's lawyer regarding this. So if you don't know who CM Punk's lawyer is, he's a guy by the name of Stephen P. New. And Stephen P. New crops up around wrestling from time to time. He had advertisements out on Major League Wrestling's Fusion show. He's been around. So on April 7th, Stephen P. New responded to a tweet talking about how this week's Dynamite was in Charleston, West Virginia, where CM Punk cut the unscripted apology to Hangman Page. So Stephen New responded with the line, Lex Loci. Okay, well, I don't actually know how to pronounce this, but what he responded with is up on your screen. Now, many people probably thought, okay, he's teasing the return of Lex Luger and the Lex Express. But when you look it up in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it says the law of the place of the wrong or tort, which, of course, doesn't mean anything to me. I don't understand what that means. And further definitions say, holds that the substantive law of the place where the tort occurs applies. It is a recognized principle of the law of the conflict of laws that the law of the state where an alleged tort is completed controls the liability. So all this has to do with places and torts. It maybe becomes a little more clear when Stephen P. New responds to some other tweets on the matter. Okay, so on April 10th, he then tweeted that same phrase again. Someone responded to him, do you need a barrister's wig and gown? Because I knoweth a bruv. And he responded, I'm just not sure if I can take the grind of a trip across the pond, bruv. If I do, you'll be the first to know. So what he's referring to here is that the footage, the security footage from All In, because it was taken in England, it's under that law. And so this is explained by somebody else that was on Twitter. And they wrote that CCTV footage is classified as personal data, not personal data, personal data under GDPR law in the United Kingdom. CM Punk could quite possibly do the funniest thing ever. This guy continued, the mass copyright striking definitely has something to do with them now realizing what they've done. And then a little crying face. And Stephen New then wrote, I tried to warn them yesterday afternoon. So this doesn't necessarily mean that Punk's camp will do anything about this, But Punk's lawyer basically agreeing with this person that says CCTV footage is classified as personal data under GDPR law in the United Kingdom. One person who is definitely on CM Punk's side in this is the host of the MMA Hour, Ariel Helwani. And so shortly after the video was shown, Helwani put it up, put up a tweet that said, "So everything Punk said on the show was accurate." And then he put Punk's commentary over top of the security footage. However, that was quickly taken down. You can see here it says this media has been disabled in response to a report by the copyright owner. Now, Stephen P. New would have something to say about who that copyright owner is. Later, Helwani put out this tweet where he said, "Not very nice. Some lawyer out of Jacksonville got my account locked momentarily and DMCA'd the video I posted, which contained CCTV and interview footage from my show. Just felt the CCTV needed some narration, you know." Anyway, here's Punk's seemingly very accurate PBP. I guess that's play-by-play. Took me a while to figure that out. PPB is play-by-play if you're working on that. Regarding how the show did in the television ratings, I mean, AEW did do one of the best ratings, that they've done in some time. They did a 0.3 rating in the 18 to 49 demo. That's the first time they've been above 0.3 since February 14th. And they also brought in they average, 819,000 viewers. So both of those are up from what they normally do. Tony Khan wrote about the rating on Twitter. He wrote, "Just got the great news from TBS Network. Last night, Wednesday night, AEW Dynamite up 29% from last week, plus up 17% over prior 6-week average. Thank you all for watching AEW Wednesdays. See you at a stacked TBS wrestling show Wednesday in Indy and rampaging and colliding this week on TNT." So now looking at the quarter hours and the breakdown of the ratings, and this is from WrestleNomics. I mean, their source is the Nielsen ratings, but there was a bump in ratings for the quarter hour where the video aired. So that quarter hour, it started from 8:30, went to 8:45, and that quarter did the best of any quarter on the show. It averaged 880,000 viewers and a 0.34 in the key demo. The show fell off after that, though. The Nick segment fell from 880,000 viewers to 822,000 viewers, and then it went down to a 0.32, and then it continued from there. And then from 9 o'clock onward, the show never got above 800,000 viewers or a 0.3 in the key demo again. So the rating did peter off back into around what Dynamite does. So the first hour of Raw this week was commercial free, and it featured first Triple H came out, then he introduced Cody, then The Rock came out, and then basically it was The Rock and the Cody Rhodes show until about 8:45, and they did a massive rating. So this show, this Raw after WrestleMania show, was going up against the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship game, which is like the men's version of the tournament that Caitlin Clark has been playing in. It averaged 2.36 million viewers and a 0.83 rating in 1849. That's the largest 18 to 49 rating since September 2019. And back then, television was totally different. There has been 5 years worth of people cutting the cord since then. So this was like a phenomenal rating for WWE Raw. If you want any more evidence about how hot WWE is right now, they drew that number up against the championship game in the NCAA tournament. The show peaked in the 8:30 to 8:45 quarter hour, when they were averaging 3.19 million viewers and 1.45 million viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic. Those are gigantic spikes. Okay, so just a few other news notes to get to here. Unfortunately, former sumo wrestler, All Japan Pro Wrestling star, and WrestleMania 21 performer Akebono has passed away at the age of 54 years old. He had been in ill health dating back to 2017. He'd been suffering from heart problems. He was confined to a wheelchair. And unfortunately, it was revealed in the Japanese media this week that he has passed away. So you might remember him from WrestleMania 21 when he wrestled the Big Show in a sumo match. He is also the first non-Japanese sumo wrestler to reach the rank of Yokozuna, which is the highest ranking in the sport. He was a two-time Triple Crown champion in All Japan, and he also won the promotion's Champion Carnival tournament in 2015. However, just a couple of years later, his health problems would begin following a tour that he did with DDT. Okay, so following comments that Ronda Rousey made about Drew Gulak recently, if you're not familiar, she was on a news show promoting her book, and she talked about a backstage incident with Drew Gulak. And she said it's kind of weird. I'm not really entirely sure of what she's describing or of what he's describing, but she said that he like grabbed onto the drawstrings of her pants at some point while they were in the hallway. And she thought this was inappropriate, confronted him about it later. Drew Gulak's story is that he went to go shake her hand, and as his hand was coming up, it got entangled in her drawstring again. So I really no idea what is going on here. But according to both Gulak and Ronda Rousey, there were a bunch of witnesses around when this happened. And now what we do know is that Drew Gulak has been removed from the No Quarter Catch crew on NXT. So a lot of people noticed that on NXT this week when the No Quarter Catch crew came out. Of course, Drew Gulak wasn't there, but also his image and name had been removed from the No Quarter Catch crew Titantron. And also Fightful Select would put out a report that said Gulak was removed from several events throughout WrestleMania weekend, including from the Hall of Fame ceremony. And Fightful Select wrote that Gulak was asked not to attend the ceremony. Well, I don't know if he was asked, he was told not to attend. And part of the reason given was that friends of Ronda Rousey's were in attendance, and they might not want to see Drew Gulak around there. So WWE hasn't put out anything official about Drew Gulak, but it definitely sounds like he might not be with the company for much longer, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So in our last video, we brought up how Matt Hardy is now officially a free agent. His contract with AEW has expired, and he opted not to sign a new deal that was offered to him. He's been keeping everyone up to date on what's going on with his free agency on his podcast. And here is what he said most recently about it. He said, Sunday night into Monday morning at midnight, that is when my AEW contract expired. So yes, I am a free agent now. Just negotiating, talking. I have interacted with everyone, still interacting with AEW, and that's where we're at now. Whenever my deal ended up running out, that allowed me the opportunity to negotiate and to speak to everyone available, really weighing all my options, and that's what I'm doing now. When he was asked if he was ruling out a return to AEW, Hardy said, no, not at all. Regarding letting his AEW contract run out, he said, I think as time continued to move on, and we were so close to the finish line, so to say, I do think I wanted to wait until everything ran out to where I can weigh all my options. I can do things correctly from a legal standpoint and figure out what I want to do next. So basically, he's just saying, I let it run out so I can negotiate with everyone. All right, looking at lineups we got coming up for the weekend. Start things off with the big New Japan Pro Wrestling show in Chicago at Wintrust Arena. According to WrestleTix, 6,136 tickets have been distributed to the show. So this is a big show for New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's a big show. It's definitely a big show for New Japan Pro Wrestling in the United States. So let's run down the lineup. We will have an IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match with Tetsuya Naito defending against Jon Moxley. Nick Nemeth, the former Dolph Ziggler, against Tomohiro Ishii. Matt Riddle will defend the NJPW World TV Championship against Zack Sabre Jr. That will be a good wrestling match. Eddie Kingston will captain a team against Gabe Kidd, who will also captain a team in an 8-man Riot Rules tag team match. We will see Hiromu Takahashi against Mustafa Ali, Shota Umino versus Jack Perry in Jack Perry's return to Chicago. I'm interested to see what the response is like to Perry at the show. There will be a Four Corners tag team match for the strong openweight tag team titles as the Gorillas of Destiny team of El Fantasmo and Hikuleo defend against Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste, Fred Rosser and Tom Lawler, and the West Coast Wrecking Crews, Royce Isaacs and Jarrell Nelson. Stephanie Vacour will defend the Strong Women's Championship against Azumi from Stardom, and Minoru Suzuki will face Ren Narita. And then at 8 p.m., SmackDown from the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan will begin. And WrestleTix has 13,296 tickets having been distributed to the show. A virtual sellout. They actually say only one ticket is remaining to the show. So yet another basically sellout for WWE television. Not a lot announced for the show, but they did announce that both Cody Rhodes and Bayley will be on tonight's SmackDown. Then we go to Rampage, and this was taped on Wednesday at the Charleston Coliseum in Charleston, West Virginia. Just under 3,000 tickets were distributed to the show, and we will see TBS champion Julia Hart defend her title against Layla Hirsch. That's an open house match, so it's an open challenge, and Hirsch will get to pick the stipulation. Angelo Parker will face Zach Knight. They have been in a rivalry involving Ruby Soho and the new Outcast stable with Saraya, Zach Knight, and Harley Cameron. Jay White will wrestle Matt Sydal, and Orange Cassidy will go one-on-one with Alex Reynolds. Then sticking with AEW, we've got Collision and Battle of the Belts tomorrow from Highland Heights, Kentucky. And on Collision, we'll see Tony Storm face Stardom's Azumi in a title eliminator match. The Blackpool Combat Club's Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli will take on the Don Callis family's powerhouse Hobbs and Kyle Fletcher. And we will see Katsuyori Shibata go one-on-one with Lee Moriarty after Moriarty pinned Shibata in a six-man tag on Dynamite. Then at Battle of the Belts, we've got international champion Roderick Strong versus Rocky Romero in a title eliminator, and the FTW champion Hook defends against Shane Taylor. That's going to do it for this video, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and we'll see you again next video.